Hello friends, we are going to see something about research design elements. Now before devising or before coming up with your thesis, hypothesis, before testing your hypothesis, before going for any sort of research, we need to first design research kind of elements. Now what are these research elements? We'll see one by one. Now research design basically it is a master plan specifying the methods and procedure for collecting and analyzing the data. Once you have decided to go for research, what sort of master plan, what sort of planning will you follow, how you will be able to collect your data, from where you will be able to collect your data, which kind of different tools or instruments you will be using while data collection, and as well as while analyzing the data. These entire things comes under the master plan, which is nothing but research design. Now it is a strategy or a blueprint that plans the action for carrying throughout the research data. How you will plan the things accordingly to which city you will go, to which country you will go, to which region or to which destination you have to go and collect the data. How you will collect the data, whether you'll be collecting it from home to home, or you'll be taking a random survey of few samples, or whether you'll be going to a particular mall where you'll be collecting your data. So these sort of things you must decide prior to do your research work. So it is very much important to plan everything first. And similarly, in case of research also, you need to plan how you need to chalk out a blueprint, you need to chalk out a map by which you will have to collect the data, you'll have to analyze the data, you'll have to do the research. Now this is very much important. Second thing, you have to fix a time period also, a specific time period also, wherein you shall be collecting the data within the given limitations of time. So scope must be properly defined. Now elements are nothing but series of components of research design. Now there are different components while doing a research. So those are called as elements. So what are these different elements of research? First is purpose of the study. Why you want to do the research? Research can be like you might have studied in research methodology. It could be exploratory study. Like people have started sending their spaceships to Mars. People have started sending their spaceships to different other planets also, just to explore something, just to come out something new. Even countries are sending their submarines deep into the ocean to explore something. You very well know the classic example of Titanic. Countries have sent their submarines deep into the ocean to just get the information, like what exactly was the Titanic ship, what are the different design elements of that Titanic ship, why did it fail in its design structure, why did the particular Titanic ship sank into the river. So this is nothing but explore. When you are exploring something, when you are going for deep insights, that is, it could be an exploratory study. Descriptive. Now you know something about what it needs to be done, but then descriptive. You have to describe, you have to go in depth, you have to take in-depth study. Now for example, what is the correlation between the increasing number of COVID patients during the summer season? So this could be a kind of cause and effect relationship. Why? When the summers are increasing in our country, that is in India, and similarly the cases of COVID-19 are arising. So what is the correlation? You need to find out that sort of description, you need to find out that sort of reasons. That is a descriptive kind of study. And explanatory study. Explanatory means you have to explain the different things, the different criteria, the different subheads, why the research was done, why the research will be done, and what will be the effects, what will be the outcome, what will be the results of those research. Now present study can't be an exploratory study. We have already covered a long distance. Whatever things are there which are mentioned as a secondary data in the form of book, in the form of journal, in the form of magazines, in the form of log books, it cannot be called as exploratory study, because the things, the research, the exploratory things are already done on that. That is why it is there in the books or in the journals. It can be either descriptive or it can be either explanatory. Who, what, where, when, or how much. These are certain questions which needs to be asked or whose answers we need to find during the research. Why? Why this is happening? Why there is a relation? Why means you have to find out the cause and effect relationship. Why there is a increase in fuel prices during summer season? Why the fuel prices goes on decreasing during a winter season? Why is it the case that during the festive season the gold price increases? So this kind of research, reasons you have to explore, you have to find out, and you have to mention in your study. Now the purpose determines how rigorous the study can be. Once the purpose is set, once the purpose is defined, you need to have very rigorous, very in-depth study. It decides about the purpose. Now within explanatory, there are different things like it could be a correlation. Correlation is a statistics word. Firstly you have to identify the factors associated with the problem. Why the number of COVID patients are increasing. It could be number one, that people have started coming up in various gatherings in case of marriages, gatherings in case of various functions. So there could be a correlation between the increasing number of gatherings as well as the increasing number of patients. So this is nothing but correlation. It could be a positive correlation or it could be either a negative correlation. Cause and effect, as I have already discussed, cause and effect. It established definite cause and effect relationship. That is what is a causal research. If this is happening, one thing is happening, the other thing is bound to happen because of that particular thing. There are two variables, and if there is a change in first variable in one variable, there has to be change in the second variable. For example, if a price of a commodity decreases, it could be case that the sales of that particular commodity or the product may increase. So this is nothing but cause and effect. It helps in deciding the mode of observation, which mode of survey you will adopt. Unit of analysis. It refers to the level of aggregation of the data during your data analysis stage. Is it at the individual, or is it at the group, or is it at the organization level? What kind of unit of analysis you will be taking? Either you will be considering a group of persons working in a company or an organization, or you will be considering a group of people within a city, or it could be a group of people within a particular state. So this is nothing but unit of analysis. You have to define what sort of unit you will be taking while performing your research. It raises the motivation level of the employees, collect the data from individual employees, aggregate analysis of information collected from individual. Unit of analysis is an individual. So if you want to study the motivation level among the employees of an organization, at that time you have to take the unit of analysis as the employees working in that particular organization. Now it could be also from individual, from one person to another person. The data could be collected from person to person. So in that case, the unit of analysis becomes individual, or collectively it becomes a group, or it becomes a union. Now study of interaction between two persons. If it could be the case that you will be studying the interaction, you will be studying the discussion which is happening between the two persons, then several two-person groups will become the unit of that analysis. So if at all husband and wife are discussing on some matter, it could be supervisor as well as subordinate. Its subordinate is discussing on some matter, on some particular situation. It could be the teacher as well as student discussion. It could be the discussion between the leader as well as the party members or the party workers. The discussion could be between the doctor and the patient. The discussion could be between the lawyer as well as the client. So in this case, the unit of analysis becomes the two-person instead of just one person. Now group effectiveness. Now unit of analysis is a group. Here in this case, here there are two persons. Here there is a group. I mean, you have to study the relationship between the group. Now, comparing different departments in work in that particular organization. If you are comparing the level of output between the two departments of a particular organization, so in this case, the unit of analysis becomes one particular group. Now, research question determines the unit of analysis. First and foremost thing is you have to question, you have to determine, you have to fix up the problem, you have to identify the problem. Now, it also affects the data collection as well as data collection methods. It also affects the sampling kind of stream. Now, unit of observation could be information. It could be from information provider. Sometimes it could be observed indirectly also. Third is time dimension. Make observation more than one time. That is over a longer period of time. Any sort of research study has to be done, has to be undertaken for a long duration of time. It could be for 2 years. It could be for 3 years. It could be for 5 years. It could be for 10 years. Like you might have seen, whenever the people are taking injections, whenever people are taking vaccinations, the doctors are studying the effect of those vaccination on those particular group of people. So it has to be a long period of time. It could be cross-section studies. I mean, taking inputs from different sections of the society. It could be longitudinal studies, or it could be panel studies. It could be cohort studies. Next, researcher control of variables. Now, researcher's ability to manipulate, to play with the variables. It could be in the form of experimental design, a non-retreat, natural environment, field experiment, or correlation studies. Now, variables can be from any kind of thing. Could be from natural environment, could be from field experiment. Now, it is up to you. You have to determine what sort of variables you have to take, contribute. It could be artificial setting, or it could be a causal kind of thing. I mean, here in case you have to you can artificially manipulate the variables. Ex post facto design, which is having no control over the variables. Report only what has happened, or what is happening. Modes of observation, as you all know, depending upon the types of studies, qualitative or quantitative, descriptive or causal. It could be contrived or non-contrived. Researcher decides about the mode of observation, which sort of mode of observation he will undertake, he will use for his study. It could be survey experiment, it could be surveys, it could be experiment, it could be observation, it could be case analysis, it could be on focus group, it could be between the combination between the researcher as well as its population. Next, sampling design. So, selecting some of the elements in the population and drawing the conclusion about the total population. For example, whenever someone is cooking a rice, cereals at home, so once those are cooked, they just randomly checks in that particular vessel. They just randomly checks whether it is cooked or not, just by taking few samples into their hand and just by observing whether it is cooked or not. So this is drawing calculation with just selecting some of the elements. Population element is the subject on which measurement is being taken. It has its own advantages as well as disadvantages. Selection of appropriate sampling design. You have to choose the appropriate sampling design also. Observation tools could be questionnaire, could be schedules, could be interview with the guide or the person, could be checklist. It could be any sort of instrument along with the justification. Field collection data. Once the data is collected, depending upon the mode of observation, the researcher will have a procedure how to go into the field and collect the data. It could be selection, field team selection. It could be in the form of training. It could be in the form of supervision. Next, data processing. It could be manually or it could be in the form of mechanical processing of data, quantification of data like scoring, index, tabulations you have to put into the table, etc. Data analysis plan, use of various statistical tools like R-test, t-test, chi-square test, F-test, etc. for interpreting various kind of things. Thank you friends, thank you for watching my video. I hope you might have understood what sort of research design is there and how you have to plan for your research and which sort of tools you can undertake to study your research. Thank you for watching my video.